Have you ever felt like no matter how much money you make, you still feel stuck in the same place? Like it's never enough and like you're always chasing this elusive financial security. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Deandra. I'm a money and abundance coach. I'm here to help you align your money, your movement, and your mindset to create real abundance now, today, so that you can live with financial confidence and financial ease. Today, I'm going to be sharing the #1 mindset shift that changed my whole perspective of how I manage my money and how I view my financial wellness. This shift took me from feeling like I never have enough to I have everything that I need to live the life that I want to live today. I believe that this is something that you can start applying in your life today. So if you've ever struggled with money stress or limiting beliefs, then keep watching this. This might be the mindset shift that you need. So let's start here. I really used to believe that getting out of debt meant having discipline, and I worked really hard. So when I got out of college, I had about $27,000 in student loan debt, and then another $10,000 career starter loan, and then I had a car loan that was like $25,000. So around $65,000 of debt at the beginning of my career. And this really stressed me out a lot. I think a lot more than some people around me were stressed out about their student loan debt and things like that. But for me, I was just really stressed out. And I had this tracker. It allowed me to put in all of my debts, my interest rate, my minimum payment, and then it told me how many periods it would take to pay this debt off, and then what month I would be, a month and year I would be debt free. And this was powerful for me because for some reason I was just like, I hate this. I don't know. I mean, maybe my parents kind of told me that debt was not a great thing. They didn't really help with college, but they did tell me that this was bad to have debt. And so once I started my career and I started making money, I started putting everything I could towards my debt. I started listening to The Ramsey Show. Great. I mean, I still listen to The Ramsey Show today, maybe a little bit less and with a different lens now. But at the time, it was really helpful for me because if you know anything about the Ramsey Show, is that they are pro being debt free, pro paying your debt off as fast as you can, pro having a budget, and all of these things. And they teach very good principles. I think it was really helpful. Maybe I took it too literally. I was eating rice and beans and rice at one point to throw as much money at my debt as possible. And the thing is that method worked. I did pay off all of my debt, and I also went through phases of spending an exorbitant amount of money, like $10,000 at a time. Sometimes this was on credit cards. I never had credit card debt, so everything did get paid off. I did not spend more than I had, but the path that I was taking of being so restrictive and not really knowing how to get my money to align with my values and my lifestyle was taking me down a path, and it was kind of like binge eating. My habits were similar to binge eating, just restricting myself so much to the point where I would just have 10 whole pizzas in a day. So that looked like me cutting out every non-essential expense. I did not enjoy getting my nails done, which I love doing. I did not enjoy going out to eat. I did not go see movies. Like, I did not spend money in a way that was meaningful and fun to me other than getting out of debt. I didn't leave any room or balance in my budget for joy and living in the now, because it could have taken very minimal amount of money and I really could have done it, but I just didn't. I didn't have the right mindset. I told myself that every extra dollar I had to go to debt, and there was no exception. Those moments, and I did have multiple moments where I would spend so much money, really taught me that budgeting isn't about restriction. It can't just be about restriction, because you can't forget that you are a person. You're a human. Have a subconscious mind that is also participating in this thing that we call life. And I think that that's the sticking point there. That's the sticking point there, because we don't always know what our subconscious mind is telling us, especially if we're not mindful. And sometimes that is what leads us to make decisions that are not in our best interests and that go against our goals, and then we wonder why. And it's because that we are not consciously aligning our goals with what we truly want. So what I learned is that if you don't build a budget that aligns with your lifestyle, your values, and your needs, then you will always feel trapped by money no matter how much you have. The thing is that once I paid off my debt, even going through these phases of spending an exorbitant amount of money, I did eventually become debt free, and I did build a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. So from the outside looking in, I was hitting all the wickets, I was doing well, but the problem is still inside, and it was still in my mindset. And I do believe that if I didn't address that, then I would have eventually gone down a path where I ended up in credit card debt, because life happens. And as someone that's married now and has a child, like, life really happens. And I really can't imagine that if I hadn't addressed that mindset shift, then I would have probably spent a lot of money and put it on credit cards. It was at the point where I had paid off all of my debt, and that's when I realized that I didn't know how to enjoy my money. I didn't know how to spend my money mindfully. I didn't know how to really take a budget and stick to that budget, because my budget was never aligned with my desires. Truthfully, my budget was restriction. It was, this is what I should prioritize rather than this is what I actually believe is important. And that showed up for me. And it was a point where I remember that listening to the Ramsey Show wasn't resonating with me anymore, that I was hearing people come on the show that were struggling to spend money, that were struggling to enjoy money. And this is not necessarily like anyone's fault or something that they teach, but I do think that when you go down this path of restriction, that you build a muscle, you build a mental muscle of restricting myself, and you don't build the muscle of, this is how I enjoy money, this is how I align my budget with my desires, and this is how I make and live a rich life now. So I ended up finding other financial gurus and teachers and coaches that align more with the live a rich life now. And that was also great. It wasn't quite right. It wasn't quite helping me figure out my mindset and what I needed to shift, because I was hearing it and I was like, okay, now I can build the muscle of spending intentionally. This is the mindset shift that changed everything. I went from believing that money was a scarcity to money is a renewable resource. Money grows on trees. When I started to believe that, then I stopped holding on so tightly to my money. I stopped being scared that I would lose it. I stopped trying to manifest an emergency so that I would have to spend it. I stopped watching my bank account go down and I started watching it build up. And I wasn't making different money. I was making the same amount of money, yet I was seeing more money in my bank account. I was seeing me save more money and not feel restricted. Once I figured that out, it was just like a light bulb came on, a tunnel opened, the angels were singing to me. They were like, here's your money, it's raining down from the sky. No, it did shift everything for me, because money does grow on trees. Money is paper, especially fiat currency, right? It literally, you create it, so it shall be. And so once I shifted from that, I didn't have to fear losing money. Let me know if you've ever had that moment where you've looked at your income and you've said, I make good money. Why am I this stressed when it comes to my finances? Because for me, that's when I knew that I had a problem, and it wasn't an income problem, it was a mindset problem. So here's the truth. We don't truly manage money with our bank accounts or even with a budget. Truly, we manage money through our mindset.